You say 0.21 Bitcoin is a big deal. 0.21 Bitcoin. Tell us why. The secret is out. 0.21 Bitcoin is actually a huge deal.
When I think about Bitcoin, I think a lot about influence. I think about the influence you can have on the world.
If you don't know about this is the interview for you.
Bitcoin has the ability to increase your influence in the world as the Bitcoin network grows, but you have to have a chunk of it.
The world is about to change in a big way. It's never been more important to secure your 0.21.
0.21, you saw that early and got a piece of a network that is growing.
Smash the like button if you hold 0.21 Bitcoin. Not everybody can. Send this video to one friend who needs to own 0.21 Bitcoin. Bitcoin expert Brian Harrington joins us. Let's introduce him. You've been in Bitcoin a long time. You continue to encourage people to grow their Bitcoin stack, to save in Bitcoin. Before we get into the 0.21, tell us why Bitcoin. Why should somebody save in Bitcoin today? What's your current Bitcoin thesis?
Yeah, the current Bitcoin thesis is the same as it's always been. Bitcoin is better than fiat money, straight up. Fiat money structurally does not protect your purchasing power, structurally is not good for you as an individual or for society as a whole. Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's monetary policy being open source and standard for everyone to know and everyone to participate in without this kind of like insider outsider type games is the reason why it's better than fiat money.
And you think Bitcoin's going to continue to be adopted and grow and be that digital gold?
I think it's going to be more than digital gold. I don't think that analogy works at all, like super well at all anymore. I think it's straight up better money in every sense of the word. So everything you use money for, I think better, like Bitcoin is better than fiat money. I can give you like an example of, you knew me back in the day when I was doing like the Bitcoin meetup in Anaheim. We were tipping our bartender then. But when a new person at the bar would come and kind of like ask us, it took a couple days to get, or to like 2 visits to get them ramped up. Our new bar, Greywolf Brewing, Norco, that we're doing our meetup at, a quote unquote normie, like someone not from the internet, but that has Bitcoin, boom, can participate on day one. And so that's what I mean as far as like the main thing I've always been passionate about is increasing and happening faster, you know, in real time, you know, in the communities where I live.
Well, let's talk about increasing individuals' Bitcoin stack. You say 0.21 Bitcoin is a big deal. 0.21 Bitcoin. Tell us why.
Yeah, here's why. Because so I've been watching Bitcoin content and making Bitcoin content on YouTube for a long time. Back in the day, I was watching Coinbase, I was watching Altcoin Daily. I was in my like learning about Bitcoin, you know, stage, right? And that was over like 10 years ago now, learning about Bitcoin, watching YouTube for the first time. And the one thing that always helped me back then was having a units of Bitcoin goal and understanding where that units of Bitcoin goal fit in the broader kind of like environment of the world and in the broader kind of mindset of the 21 million cap of Bitcoin. Okay. So back then, you know, you could shoot for 1 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin, and you still can today, and you still should today. But there's this thing of 0.21 when I was really like thinking about it. What I like about 0.21 is right now today at $57,000 exchange rate for USD to 1 Bitcoin, that's about $12,000, okay? 12,000 US American dollars. That's a great amount of money. That's a good kind of emergency fund or just kind of vacation or just a solid, like, you know, maybe like a monthly stack of bills for some people. Personal finance is very personal, so it's always different for everyone. But why I think about 0.21 is because when I think about Bitcoin, I think a lot about influence. And I think about the influence you can have on the world. And the influence that you can have on the world being someone with 12,000 fiat dollars is not that much. Like in the global scheme, in even the like American scheme, $12,000 is not enough. It's not enough to actively put a dent in the world. And we can talk about that being a bummer. We can talk about like lots of things about that, right? But 0.21 puts you, only 100 million people can ever own 0.21. 100 million divided by the 8 billion people in the world is the 1%. You're now in the 1%. It's actually 1.25% if you do the math. 100 million divided by 8 billion, right? So the top 1.25% in the world. So for 12,000 fiat dollars, 0.21 Bitcoin is better. That puts you in the top 1% of the world. And I'll even take the stat one step further. $12,000 does not put you in the top 1%. You have to have $1 million net worth in order to be in the top 1% in the current fiat metrics, right? 12,000 is very median for the entire world. And so Bitcoin has the ability to kind of increase your influence in the world as the Bitcoin network grows, but you have to have a chunk of it so that you can, ride with it and feel your influence grow.
So 0.21 Bitcoin priced in the US dollar, not very significant, but 0.21 Bitcoin, when you start thinking about things in Bitcoin terms, is very significant?
Correct. Absolutely significant. And that's the big thing I want to relay in the video also, is a lot of people, when you're first stacking, right? When you're first stacking, I saw a post the other day on Reddit where, a 19-year-old male was just kind of laying out their investments, and the post said he had some other stocks and things like that, and it was like $4,000 of Bitcoin, right? You can tell that that individual is still thinking about it in terms of only the exchange rate. They hadn't switched over to be like, how many Bitcoin units do they have? And that's the mental switch. If you're early to watching Altcoin Daily, if you're early to watching Bitcoin YouTube, when you can make the switch from kind of measuring your Bitcoin only with the fiat USD exchange rate and also tracking your Bitcoin units, that's when you kind of begin to level up and your stacking will really start to take off.
It's not necessarily the easiest thing to get 0.21 Bitcoin today. Like you said, it's 12,000-ish US dollars. But like, I assume it's probably, if Bitcoin holders are right, stacking 0.21 Bitcoin is going to become that much harder because it is a limited fixed supply and they're not making any more.
Okay.
So is it like, are you like, how important is it really to get to that 0.21? It sounds very important.
Definitely. I mean, I would rank it as very important. And then kind of the next thing I tell people is take it 0.01 at a time. Just like any sort of goal setting, break it down, take it 0.01 at a time. And 0.01, in this same example of the exchange rate we're using, is $570. So again, once a month, can you collect a 0.01? Maybe once every other week on your paycheck cycles, can you get a 0.01? Start to think like that and be like, how many times of these chunks can we do this? And involve your family. All get on the same page, make your stacking goals.
0.21 Bitcoin for everybody you care about in your family.
Definitely. Absolutely.
And, you said if somebody can't get to the 0.21 right away, because like you said, everybody's personal finance is different, you recommended 0.1?
0.01. I would take it 0.01 at the time. 0.01 at a time. And that's the thing. You can break down the sats. Sats are the basing Bitcoin, goes out to the 8th decimal place. 1 million sats, 0.01. And I think I like that, where it's just like, it's about $570. You can wrap your head around it. You can make that trade.
Do you think, like, here's the thing, just if Bitcoin is to become ubiquitous and be a part of the world in a lot of different ways, most people aren't going to be able to accumulate 0.21 Bitcoin. So if you can accumulate 0.21 Bitcoin now, do you think this person will be a future Bitcoin king, Bitcoin wealthy individual?
Yes. No, I do. I don't think the top 1% is like being hyperbolic. I honestly don't believe that's hyperbolic. And I think that's the reason why I like using the word influence is because influence can look very different for any type of person. But we do know, most of us have had, a wealthy or like affluent people in our life that have been able to like bless us or help us at times in our life, or, they can give to the community, they can do things like that. I do kind of foresee Bitcoin holders being that next generation of that, and those two things being really synonymous.
Interesting to be in the top 1% of the future digital world. And obviously you're bullish on the future with Bitcoin. Could you give us your overall, I don't know if we have to distill it just to a price prediction, but how are you thinking about the future, the outlook for Bitcoin?
Yeah, here's my outlook for Bitcoin. My outlook for Bitcoin is, okay, in America, real estate has been the tried and true way that the majority of millionaires have become millionaires, right? It's just kind of because your primary residence becomes kind of the savings bank and you're paying down your mortgage once every month, and it's this habit building, right? And real estate investors also have a lot of kind of just the tax advantages of owning real estate over years and years and years of real estate investors kind of getting preferential treatment. That's how I foresee Bitcoiners. I foresee Bitcoiners as kind of this, it becomes this very well-known tried and true way to build your wealth, because you saw around the corner, saw what was happening with fiat money, and you didn't panic. You weren't sporadic. You weren't like, it's honestly not like a doomsday thing. It's just a very reality math thing that you were able to see around the corner and see that fiat money is not positive. You were able to level up kind of your technical knowledge a little bit of how to use an exchange, how to use a wallet, how to do those things. And you saw that early and got a piece of a network that is growing. And then you were rewarded for doing that. That's how I view the future.
Well, Brian, you've made me a believer. I certainly encourage everybody in our audience who's able to accumulate and hold 0.21 Bitcoin and then kind of start, maybe get a second 0.21 Bitcoin for your future loved one or something like that. But Brian, please plug yourself. I encourage everybody to go follow Brian on YouTube, check out his company Fold. Tell us about Fold, tell us about your channel. Feel free to brag a little bit.
Yeah. So Fold is the number one place to manage your personal finances as a Bitcoiner. So if you're on this journey of, you have an orange pill, you believe Bitcoin is better than fiat money, but if you're like me, you still receive a direct deposit and you still have bills to pay, that's literally what Fold is for. So forever, Bitcoin personal finance advice was you have your Wells Fargo account, or your Bank of America account, your credit union account, you receive your direct deposit over there, you pay your bills over here, and then your extra money goes into Bitcoin. Your extra money goes into, Bitcoin and crypto, right? That's how the most people do it. Fold is rethinking that entire thing. Fold has an account and routing number. So you no longer need the legacy banks that don't believe in Bitcoin, that don't run Bitcoin, that don't see the future the way that me and you see the future. You can bring your direct deposit to Fold. You can choose how much to hold in Bitcoin, how much to hold in USD. You can pay your bills via the account and routing number. You can pay your bills via the debit card. You can get cash out of the ATM via the debit card. And then you can withdraw your Bitcoin and use your Bitcoin in the future economy. So when I describe Fold, it's backwards compatibility to the legacy system, forwards compatibility to the Bitcoin system. I think you can find Aaron's ref link in the description for a 20,000 sats bonus. Sats, base unit Bitcoin. Use Aaron's ref link and you can get that bonus with your first purchase. As far as for me, search Brian Harrington on YouTube and I talk about Bitcoin. And I talk about Bitcoin. Again, I love Bitcoin YouTube a lot. I love the Altcoin Daily channel. Like, smash the like button for real. I love the community of YouTube, like, actually, okay? And what I try to do with my channel is I try to talk like a regular person. Like, I'm in my suburbs era, okay? I'm in Southern California. I'm in my suburbs era. I have 2 little kids. I have a mortgage. I'm a regular guy. And for a long time of watching YouTube, it was always like, oh, that influencer can live on Bitcoin, or like that digital nomad can live on Bitcoin, or, maybe in El Salvador, like that works down there. But like, no, literally right here, Fold gives you the ability to live on Bitcoin, to use Bitcoin as deep in your personal finances as you want. Maybe you don't want to go all the way, maybe just a little bit, totally fine. Fold serves that whole thing. And then on top of that, if you're in Southern California, Greywolf Brewing in Norco, we meet there every single Thursday, 4 to 7 p.m., and they take Bitcoin. So if you've never been to a brick and mortar and traded Bitcoin for, food, for drinks, come and do that. Like, literally come and join us. I was on the Altcoin Daily channel. It honestly was probably in 2019 when I onboarded my first restaurant in Southern California. It was a small taco stand in Rialto, California. And 3 people came the very first day from the Altcoin Daily channel. And I'll never forget that. I honestly will never forget that. It literally is hyper Bitcoinization happening in real time, where I live, and I can feel it.
Your Bitcoin meetups are legendary. Yeah, that's how we met. And I always love, seeing your journey, Brian, and seeing what you're getting into with Bitcoin and everything else. So yeah, go follow Brian, check out his company Fold. And also, if you're on the 0.21 Bitcoin train, let us know in the comments below. Every like I see on this video, I'm going to think, oh, that person has 0.21 Bitcoin. And that'll be an interesting metric to keep track of, but also comment too, so we know. But thank you so much, Brian, for coming on today.
Yeah. Hey, hope you're having fun in Singapore. Thank you so much, Altcoin Daily. Love Bitcoin YouTube.